With the NFL draft just 2 weeks away, I wanted to give you guys my full 7-round mock draft. Here's what I would do if I was the Jets GM.
Jets, Jets, Jets!
All right, boys and girls, I'm excited to get into this. This is my 7-round Jets mock draft, just 2 weeks till the NFL draft. I've been scouring tape and big boards and looking at meetings with the Combine and Pro Days and Senior Bowl and all that good stuff, top 30 visits. And I've compiled a list of highlights, where they rank on big boards. I want to give you guys my rationale on each of these selections, so that way you know this could be a realistic draft and how things go. So before we hop into it, I do think it's important to at least take a look at the first 9 picks and how we think that's potentially going to fall to the number 10 pick, because I do think that has a major impact on where we go, obviously. So without further ado, I do think the first 8 players off the board are going to be in some particular order. Team doesn't necessarily matter for us, but Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and J.J. McCarthy are the 4 quarterbacks I do think are going to go inside the top 10. Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, I think are going to be the 2 wide receivers that end up going ahead of us. Joe Alt, I think, probably ends up going to the Titans, and then Dallas Turner or Jared Verse, someone like that, is going to go to the Falcons at number 8. And then you can notice that I left off the Bears here, and I'm not exactly sure which direction they're going to go, and they are, for me, the biggest pivot point. I feel like when you consider that they only have 4 draft picks in this entire draft, with 2 being inside the top 10, and their coaching staff being on the hot seat, I could see a situation where they do want to trade down and accumulate more picks. And for that reason, I think any team that's looking to trade up is going to get a better deal from the Bears than they will from the Jets. So I don't think the Jets are going to be able to trade down unless we're looking to fall back really far in the draft, maybe to like the Eagles 22 pick. But who will the Bears select at number 9? I've been looking at Mock Draft Database. They aggregate a whole bunch of different mock drafts across a bunch of different fan forums. So this is, or fan websites. So across 41 different mock drafts since the beginning of March, the Bears' odds have shifted across the different publications, and they actually have them selecting a defensive lineman in 56% of these mock drafts, and 29% some other position, and only 12% Rome Odunze and 1% Bowers. So when I'm looking at this, I do think they are going to go defensive line or end up trading out of this pick. Now, it's not an end-all, be-all kind of like analysis like, oh, there's no facts in mock drafts. I understand that, but when fans are selecting defensive linemen for their team, I feel like there's at least a conversation that could be had there. So with that in mind, I do think our number 1 overall pick is going to be none other than Mr. Rome Odunze, wide receiver out of Washington. I would be absolutely elated if this winds up being the pick. With Mike Williams potentially not being ready for the start of the season and being hampered throughout training camp, coming back from that ACL tear, Jets are going to need some type of contested catch wide receiver that can grow alongside Garrett Wilson. And Rome Odunze, standing at 6'3", 215 pounds, is exactly that type of wide receiver. He has the number 1 contested catches in the college ranks this past year, number 1 in deep catches as well. You could see where he ranks across all the big boards. He's basically a top 10 pick in everyone's mind. And if the Jets can get him sitting at number 10, I'd be all sorts of excited. He's a team captain. The Jets always like that. You want to bring in the right type of person. His backstory with his grandfather going blind and not being able to watch him is very touching, really cool. I recommend you looking into some of those videos, but very much like it. Lined up out wide, 967 snaps, in the slot, 318 snaps. It would be incredible if you could put Rome Odunze out wide, Mike Williams out wide, and have Garrett Wilson in the slot and give him a bunch of free releases, and he is just going to absolutely feast. And I could predict like 1,500 yards from this cat. Garrett Wilson. But last year, Rome Odunze, 1,500 yards, 13 touchdowns. This is the type of receiver I do want to bring in. I like the bigger-bodied guy. I do think the Jets are going to go with a weapon at number 10 now that we've solidified the offensive line. I want to give you guys a little bit of context, too, for the offensive line in general, if you are concerned about it and, hey, we need that insurance policy and whatnot because of our history of offensive line injuries. Well, Tyron Smith hasn't played a full season since 2015. Doesn't give you the warm and fuzzies, but in the 7 playoff games that the Cowboys have had, he has played in every single one of them, which means he's not getting career or season-ending injuries. He is getting, banged up a little bit, and he's playing when it matters most. So that tells me they're more rest kind of games than anything else. Carter Warren for 3-4 fill-in type games, totally fine by me, no concern there. Morgan Moses on the other side, you could upgrade from him, $5.5 million contract for 1 year. I understand that, but He's been healthy 95% of the time of every single season that he's been in the NFL, with the exception of last year when he played like 73%. But he had a torn pec and he played through it. So the dude's an absolute Iron Man. So as far as offensive line is concerned, I feel like the depth that we were able to have last year with a ton of guys playing will give us a little bit more confidence in the depth of our offensive line this year. I also think there's a really good shot that the Jets are going to bring back Connor McGovern and potentially bring in Bakhtiari after the draft. So it sort of hides what their intentions are at the number 10 overall pick. I understand there's going to be some people that want to go Brock Bowers here. I would understand that. I think I look at him more as a weapon than I do as an inline tight end. So I think you kind of solve the same type of issue here. He would replace someone, replace Lazard in the big slot, and Aaron Rodgers does like operating around the line of scrimmage. But in this draft, Rome Odunze falls to the New York Jets, and I am running this pick up to the podium. So Rome Odunze, you become a New York Jet wearing, I guess not number 1 because Sauce is number 1. I'm excited to see what he winds up wearing though. I am all sorts of pumped for this. Before we hop into the rest of this video, I want to thank the sponsor of the channel, Mando. Just because some of my draft picks stink doesn't mean you have to stink, and that's what Mando's here to help you achieve. Mando is clinically proven to give you an odor score of 0 out of 10 after 12 hours, where just showering and soap alone will give you a 5 out of 10 odor score. I can tell you from personal experience, I have tried roll-on deodorants and spray deodorants and gel deodorants and all these different things, and they always wind up dissipating over the course of a day, but this stuff actually works. Not only that, if you get the starter pack, you wind up getting this invisible cream, which has been an absolute game changer for me. I have a chafing problem in the summer. My thighs just burn, and it is not fun. This stuff is like a lubricant that is just absolutely perfect. You could put it on any part of your body, whether it be the balls, your grundle, your butt crack, your boobies, your armpits, your feet, anything you want to put it on. This stuff is totally safe to do it, and it'll keep you smelling fresh the whole day. They also send you out this shower gel. I got the bourbon leather, smells really nice. Becca loves it. When I go to bed, you're welcome, babe. And then my personal favorite, I actually really like throwing the wipes in my to-go bag, so that way when I'm out and about, I could just freshen myself up really quick. It's also nice at the end of the day if you showered towards the end and you want to just like maybe give yourself a little wipe down after sitting under some hot lights yelling about your favorite football team. At least do it without smelling. So I've really liked it. I want to thank Mando for reaching out and sponsoring the channel. If you guys would like to help support the channel and support one of the sponsors of the channel, head down into the description. You'll find my link down below. Shopmando.com, promo code JetsTalk. That's shopmando.com, promo code JetsTalk will get you 40% off your starter pack. It's about $5 off. If you're just in the market for a little bit of deodorant, highly recommend it. Give it a shot. Guys, thank you so much for sponsoring the channel. The Jets did not get a second-round pick in this particular mock draft, so if you wanted to move up into the second round, use a later pick in this year's draft or potentially a 2025 pick, I would be okay with that. But in the third round, pick number 72, I have the Jets selecting tackle out of Yale, Kieran Amaj, the 6'5" tackle, 323 pounds. This guy is known as a pass blocker. The Ivy League schools generally don't have like premier style tackles. Now, he did have an injury, which is why I think he's going to slide a little bit further down people's boards than I think he should. And what's really exciting about this is he can just learn and develop. And maybe this guy could be the heir apparent at left tackle after Tyron Smith is gone, and Carter Warren could be the heir apparent to Morgan Moses once Moses' contract is up at the end of the year. This guy had 1 sack in his entire career in 3 seasons, 26 pressures, and 3 penalties. So the guy's not putting you in bad downs and distance situations. He has left guard and left tackle flexibility. So let's say you wanted to play him this year and John Simpson isn't playing up to snuff, you could kick him inside. Now, he did cut his teeth as a left tackle. That's where he's had the majority of his success. And 6'5" is a pretty big guard. But either way, I do like that. He missed the final 6 games of this season with a quad injury. He did have surgery on that quad, and he's got enormous arms, 36-inch arms. That is absolutely enormous. By comparison, I think Talese Funga was like 33.5 or 34-inch arms. So this guy is absolutely huge. He mirrors edge rushers really well. Where you would be a little bit worried is maybe his balance. If he's running back or sliding back in his pass set, he doesn't do a great job at getting back in terms of counter moves from edge rushers. So that's something he's going to have to work on. And then obviously the level of competition. Going against the Ivy League schools, different from going after or going against the SEC schools. So a little bit of time for him to develop, but this is the type of block of clay that I would like to see the Jets try to bring in here. So I'd be really happy with Kieran in the 3rd round. In the 4th round, I'm starting to think quarterback, and we had this guy in for a top 30 visit, and that is Jordan Travis, the quarterback out of FSU. Now, he's kind of all over the board in terms of rankings, and you could see Draft Network has him at 96 overall. Some people have him like way into the 7th round. So if you can get him later, by all means, I'm totally cool with that. But for this, I'm going to say we take him at the top of the 4th round. This is a player that should have gone a lot higher on people's boards, but he had a nasty injury at the end of this collegiate season that prevented FSU from getting into the college football playoffs. And look, he's a 4-year starter, was in college for 6 years. So like a lot of experience when it comes to the quarterback position. I think there's also something to be said for drafting a quarterback from a team that one of your star players on your team has strong roots with, and Jermaine Johnson really likes Jordan Travis. I feel like that gives you a little bit of clout heading into the locker room, and not to mention with the injury to Jordan Travis, you might be able to IR him at the end of training camp. So he gets all of training camp to participate and practice with the team, but then you IR him right before cutdown day, and he gets a true redshirt year. The Jets cannot play him after that point, which means quarterback 3, you carry 2 quarterbacks. You wind up carrying Aaron Rodgers and Tyrod Taylor into the season. Now, you might be concerned with that. I'm not, because if you have to go down to quarterback 3, you're probably just handing the ball off anyway. So I'd rather give this kid the confidence of a redshirt year, and he kind of plays similarly to Tyrod Taylor. So as far as a backup quarterback to learn from, it's probably a pretty rock-solid approach here. Now, he doesn't throw a lot of interceptions, only 2 interceptions this past year. You know Aaron Rodgers is going to love that. And as far as his rushing ability, has mobility, doesn't really take off and run a lot. He's averaging somewhere between like 200 and like 350 yards on the ground per season. Has 7 touchdowns on the ground, though, which means you have a little bit of an elite weapon in the red zone to help score some points. And he, is good at throwing off platform. Definitely nice running outside the pocket, especially if your offensive line maybe not be up to snuff. Now, as far as maybe some concerns for him, his deep ball strength isn't quite where you'd want it to be, so you might have a few more contested catch opportunities for big-time wide receivers like a Mike Williams if he were to re-sign after this season, or Rome Odunze moving forward. So for 4 years, Jordan Travis, maybe he can be the guy after Aaron Rodgers leaves. At least you have someone in the hopper ready to take some snaps for the post-Rodgers saga here in New York. So I do really like Jordan Travis here. And actually, so Rome Odunze, Kieran Amaj, whatever the tackle's name, I just had us selected, and Jordan Travis all had top 30 visits with the New York Jets. So they are clearly keeping an eye on all of these particular players that have gone through in these first 3 picks here. The next player I want to look at is a running back. And the Jets, specifically Joe Douglas, has selected a running back in every single one of his drafts, and I have absolutely fallen in love with Braylon Allen, the running back out of Wisconsin. This guy's an absolute bruiser when it comes to the running back position. It would complement the Breece Hall and Izzy running back field in the perfect way. Not to mention, he just turned 20 in January, which means he's going to play his entire rookie season under the legal drinking age. So you have a kid with fresh legs, a young body. I really like this. God forbid something happens to Breece. At least you wind up having a bruiser behind him that can... He doesn't necessarily have breakaway speed, but has plenty of speed to get down the field in a hurry. He's a one-cut runner, so he's going to be going through the tackles most of the time. You're not really going to be bouncing him outside. Izzy would kind of be that third down potential back, but this guy would be a lot better in the blocking game because you don't have to now have Breece taking excessive hits, throughout the course of a game. Maybe you lighten the load on him. I would love to get Braylon Allen. This is one my brother has been absolutely on since like months ago, and I'm on board right now. As far as his yards per carry, he has a career 5.8 yards per carry, so he is an absolute bruiser, like I said. 3,400 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 9 fumbles over the course of his 3 years in the league, and he only has 1 penalty in those 3 years, so he's not going to get you penalized. I think this is a home run move for the New York Jets. I do think we need a running back, whether you wind up getting one after the draft like a Zeke Elliott, but I could go that route. But for the money, I like the kid on a 4-year contract. Braylon Allen, welcome to the New York Jets. In terms of the 6th round, we're going to start taking a look at the defensive side of the ball now because we've gone all offense on the first part of this draft. But in the 6th round, we're going to get another guy that has come in for a top 30 visit for the New York Jets, and that is Justin Rogers, the defensive tackle out of Auburn. He transferred from Kentucky, so he's only played the 1 year at Auburn, has 1,090 snaps at defensive tackle, known for stopping the run. We obviously lost Quentin Jefferson to the Browns this year. We have Javon Kinlaw on a 1-year contract. This is kind of the run stuffer that I'm hoping we see, maybe taking the Al Woods place that we could put alongside Quinnen Williams, and just kind of loading up on defensive linemen late is sort of how you keep that pipeline of good players going, and it's a cheap 4-year contract. I really like this. He won't provide you much in the way of pass rush, but we have so many edge rushers and so many interior pass rushers that I don't think it's really going to be a worry. So this guy could be a backup for early downs, and maybe we potentially groom him there. Only 3 career penalties as well. So another guy that's not going to put you in some bad situations. Justin Rogers comes in as a defensive tackle. Now we have 2 picks at the final part of the draft. 7th round, pick 256 and 257. That first pick, I'm going to go with safety Kenny Logan Jr. out of Kansas. Now, he did measure in shorter than he was listed on their website. He was originally listed at 6 foot. He measured in at 5'10". Now, you may say, hey, that's kind of short for a safety in the NFL. You may not necessarily want that, but I would argue this guy could be a slot corner and could provide some really good help on special teams. A versatile piece like that, with the way the rules have changed and how they're going to implement the blocking and just like the speed of kickoffs and whatnot, I think Kenny Logan Jr. would be a really nice piece to add here. 1,060 snaps in the box, 1,241 snaps at free safety, 442 snaps in the slot. So like I said, Javelin Guidry, not coming back. We do have Isaiah Oliver, who we brought in from the San Francisco 49ers as a slot corner / special teams type player. They say this guy's locked down in the red zone. So really, really excited about that. As far as his tendencies, he does tend to lower his shoulder a little bit, which could cause missed tackles, and only 4 career penalties over the course of his collegiate career. So again, another guy who's not really getting it in bad situations and giving up penalties deep down the field, specifically the pass interference. We don't want to see any of that. But the Jets are going to need some safety help. Tony Adams, Ashton Davis, Chuck Clark, all on 1-year contracts, and we don't know what Jared Bernard Converse ultimately is going to be. So I think safety is going to be a need still in the NFL draft, and this is a pretty good one that I've had penciled in for us for quite some time now. The final pick in the draft, I'm still looking on the defensive side of the ball. I want someone with excessive upside, someone that maybe, could boom, could bust. We don't know. But as far as our cornerback room is considered, DJ Reed, 1 year left on his contract. Brandon Echols, 1 year left on his contract. We have Sauce, obviously. I'm looking RoAndre Toney, the cornerback out of Arizona State. He is 6'3", 208 pounds. This guy is a big mother trucker. Physical guy at the line of scrimmage. He transferred from Auburn, so originally scouted as an SEC-style cornerback, then wound up shifting over to ASU. 5 touchdowns given up in his career, 3 interceptions, 7 pass breakups. He has a career completion percentage against him of 57.4%. So really pretty solid as far as coverage goes. And he is physical at the line of scrimmage. His press man coverage is really, really impressive. He can even come up and tackle players, behind the line of scrimmage. He's good blitzing off the edge. I would say this is the type of physical corner you may want with the ban of the hip drop tackle. So if you're not going to have those lighter, smaller corners or safeties or things of that nature up in the box to stop some of these bigger running backs, RoAndre Toney could be a high upside swing. And, that's what you kind of need to do at this point of the draft. 9 career penalties and 3 in 2023. Not ideal, but also not like a backbreaker. So more average, middle of the pack here. I would be really pumped with RoAndre Toney if the Jets could wind up bringing him in as Mr. Irrelevant at the end of this draft. So guys, that was my mock draft. To recap, let's pull up all my picks. We have solidified wide receiver. We now have our complement of weapons. You have Ruckert and Conklin as your tight end still, because we did not go Brock Bowers. Kieran Amaj, I'm going to screw up that name a bunch of times. Tackle, guard flexibility, provides you that depth moving into the future while still giving you some hope for Carter Warren at one of the tackles as well. I think that's a really good move. Jordan Travis, quarterback of the future potentially. We shall see. Braylon Allen provides you that running back to complement Breece Hall and Izzy. Justin Rogers, stout run defender, gives you someone inside to replace Al Woods. Kenny Logan Jr., Torrance helps you round out a little bit of your secondary that you may feel slightly concerned on depth with. We don't have that much there. And you know what? I think high upside players at the tail end of the draft make a crazy ton of sense for the New York Jets. So guys, that is my mock draft. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. How would you grade this particular draft? I think it's pretty realistic that these players could be selected by the New York Jets. Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, go Jets.